After Mookie Betts homered against the Brewers and then Shohei, man, I had enough. It was bound to come out. I hate large market baseball. Brewers fall. We'll get to all that. Coming up next here on Lockdown.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yeah, some people are going to think that I'm crying about this and all that. I don't care. There is no equality in Major League Baseball as far as baseball teams. When the Dodgers can go out there and buy themselves a Mookie Betts, Ohtani and Mookie Betts, followed by Freddie Freeman, 1, 2, 3 in the order. And who do the Brewers have 1, 2, 3 in the order? You tell me how this stacks up and how does this make you feel? Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. Oh, and Teoscar Hernandez batting fourth. Then you got the Milwaukee Brewers. Their lineup, Turang, Churio, Mitchell, and Contreras. Okay? What direction do you think that game's going to go? Good to have you along. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good to have you along here. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel, where the Dodgers went from an underdog to a favorite by game time. FanDuel, make every moment more. NFL season is upon us very shortly with exhibition games. Major League Baseball, of course. We're getting right down to the good stuff here. FanDuel's hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right. Something for everyone all summer long. Every day, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be saying this had the Brewers won 5-2, but it just struck a chord with me tonight. It did. And I've talked about this in the past. Yeah, it just bothers me. It does. How Major League Baseball 30 years ago, about 30 years ago, this time of the year is when we had the baseball strike. We had no World Series 30 years ago. It was canceled because there was a baseball strike. The owners had enough. They wanted a salary cap. It was getting out of hand with salaries 30 years ago already. All right? It was getting out of hand. The big markets went along with it. They didn't want to, but they went along with it. Big markets like the Yankees. And finally, with Bud Selig as commissioner, Major League Baseball says, okay, I guess the Players Association not going to call our bluff. Players Association refused to give in. The strike lasted till like the beginning of the next season. Okay. And then obviously no salary cap. And as a result, big markets got to continue to spend. It got way out of hand. And the Brewers, you wonder why at the trading deadline, why they can't make a play for any of these guys, because that's the way it is. And again, someone's going to say I'm crying about it, and I don't want to hear about that. And if you're going to tweet me on that, I don't want to hear it. But that's just the fact is the Milwaukee Bucks would not have an NBA title if there was not a salary cap in the NBA. Giannis would have been gone a long time ago before they won their title in 2021. If there was a salary cap in the NFL, there wasn't a salary cap. The Packers who got all the money in the world, yeah, the Packers would have been probably priced out of the market anyway if there was no salary cap in the NFL. Baseball, the Brewers keep trying to invent ways to win. And I saw a tweet out there today that since 2017, the Brewers have the 6th best record in baseball since 2017. The Dodgers, Houston, Yankees, Tampa, Atlanta, and Milwaukee. Okay. How many playoff victories have the Brewers had since 2018? How many series victories have they had? How many series victories? They got one. That was 2018. So, let's talk about the Brewers having the 6th best record in baseball since 2017. I want to see postseason victories, series victories. That doesn't impress me. Win a division title, go into the playoffs. That's a nice story. But you need championship players. And the Brewers, yeah, God bless them. They are getting it done in the regular season. What would the Brewers be like if they had Ohtani? What would they be like if they had Betts in this lineup? Put Ohtani and Betts into this Brewers lineup, where would they be? The Brewers don't even have a legitimate number one starter in their rotation. Why? Because they lost him. They lost him. They had to trade him because they couldn't afford him. That is pathetic. Get a homegrown pitcher and you got to trade him. That is pathetic. That's pathetic for the sport. The sport, they ought to be embarrassed by that. And baseball will not take a stand against the players' union, the strongest union in the country, probably. But who do the Brewers have as their, and this is not an indictment on Freddy Peralta, but Peralta, and Kurt Hogue put this out there from the Journal Sentinel. He's given up 4+ runs in 8 of his last 20 starts. That's not number one material for me. I was on a show in lacrosse today. Somebody asked me about, the Brewers have their ace going. Well, Peralta's, we talked about this, not an ace. He's the number one starter. That's who small market Milwaukee has to settle for. But imagine if the Brewers had Corbin Burns and a healthy Brandon Woodruff. Woodruff, they would have lost the free agency had he been healthy. They got him back because he wasn't healthy. Otherwise, they would have lost him to the free agency. But Burns, they had to go out and trade him. They would have lost him at the end of the season. But Burns would look great on this team. But they would have lost him at the end of the season, got nothing for him. And we've had that debate before, whether or not the Brewers should have kept Burns or not. Bottom line is they traded him because they would not have been able to afford him. And that's the way the Brewers have to operate. And I don't like it. I don't like having to, once you go to the Brewers Pro Shop and you see a player's jersey there. Well, yeah, I'd love to get that jersey, but that guy, how long is he going to be here? Is it 6 years? That's going to be a donation somewhere. I'm just tired of it. Yeah, it sounds like sour grapes. If it sounds like it, yes, it is. Stacking the teams. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, and Hernandez. Way to grow your product, Major League Baseball. Way to grow it. 1 loss, 5-2. It wasn't like the Brewers got blown out, but, the Stars shined. Kershaw, of course, Kershaw hadn't gone more than 4 innings in any of his last, 3 or 4 starts. Pitches as he always does at AmFam Field, pitches like the ace he is, and he's at the other side of his career. He pitched into the 6th inning, struck out 6. Were we not surprised that curveball was dancing around all different angles? Kershaw had it going on. And yeah, this notion is, the Cardinals got beat and the Brewers are going to win this division anyway. I'm thinking big. I want to get the 2nd or top seed. And what the Brewers are doing in a small market is just unbelievable. And it's great. I love it. And now the question is also Mark Attanasio. All right. He's going off and buying all these teams, these soccer teams overseas. Why isn't he spending money here? That's anybody's guess. $40,000 at the game on Sunday on Sesame Street Day against the Reds. Sunday afternoon. The Brewers, no World Series appearances in the last 42 years. Still, they draw $40,000 at the gate. $40,000. Mark Attanasio isn't in this to lose money. Okay. I don't know what the book's like. I don't know what his books are like. I don't. But it does seem kind of odd how, you get great attendance. They're not drawing like the Oakland A's. They have good attendance figures. It's like, man, can we afford to spend any more? Is there a reason why? I'd love to see the breakdown and where all that money goes. Wouldn't you love to see it? And I'm not going to blame Mark Attanasio. He can spend the money. He owns a team. And, owners make money by buying and selling a team. When Attanasio sells the team, whenever that happens, if he does ever sell the team, he will make a substantial profit from when he bought the team back in 2004, I want to say. But, man, it's just a shame. It's a baseball problem. It's mostly an MLB problem, but I'd like to think that the Brewers could spend a little bit more money. And then, of course, when Attanasio does spend money, Christian Yelich, and, he's injury prone with the back. Okay. It's been a disappointing last several years for him. He finally turns it around and he's got back issues again. Spend some money on Ryan Braun. I don't think he ever got what he wanted when he paid Ryan Braun that money. They had that nice little ceremony for him, putting him on the Walk of Fame a couple of weeks ago. Did they really get their bang for the buck for that big contract that Braun signed? No. So when he has signed players to big contracts, major contracts for the Brewers, by the Brewers' interpretation, it really hasn't worked out. Really hasn't worked out. Kershaw pitches into the sixth inning, 6 Ks. But Peralta, the number one starter, this also from Kurt Hogue, he has given up a home run in every start since June 24th. So in addition to Peralta, the 8th time he's given up 4 more runs in his last 20 starts and has given up a home run in every start since June 24th. But I'm not blaming Peralta. He didn't ask to be the star, the number one guy in this team, the number one starter, the ace. He didn't say, "Yeah, I'm the ace." It was the media. It was the Brewers. He's ace ready. He's not an ace. He's a number 3 guy. Peralta's fine in that 3 hole. And if we had Burns here, and if we had a healthy Woodruff, we wouldn't be saying right now, "Well, Freddie, boy, is he struggling." 7-7 on the year. That's an ace material. No, Freddie's not an ace. Freddie is not an ace. Nobody really is on this roster. And then again, when the Brewers do get an ace, they lose him. They have to trade him. Can't afford him. Baseball problem. Don't know how much of the Attanasio problem, but just curious how the Brewers do fill up the house quite often. And we keep crying. The Brewer payroll is just really small. I'll say that. All right. The lineup tonight, some of you put out there about the lineup tonight. I didn't have too many problems with that. We'll get to that coming up next. Some moves that the Brewers made. But Murphy said something interesting about his team tonight after the game. He never shies away from making big-time statements. In this case, an indictment against this team. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Everybody go shopping. That's what we do. We need stuff, whether it's summer stuff, clothes, obviously food for the house, television sets or whatever. Well, whatever you're doing, if you're taking a vacation this year, what you need to do, you need to sign up with Ibotta and get cash back on all your purchases. You could spend more time making memories this summer and less time dreaming about them, getting cash back from Ibotta. It's a free app that lets you get cash back. You earn cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items, from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys. So you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. It's helping along here in this economy. The average Ibotta user earns about $256 a year. I could cover the cost of an entire shopping spree. Maybe. You could save it over 2,400 brands, shop at over 1,000 retailers, your favorite grocery stores, Best Buy, Sephora, Macy's, Lowe's, you name it. It's time to join. Over 50 million users use this. Right now, Ibotta is offering listeners of Locked On MLB just $5 for trying Ibotta. Use the promo code Locked On MLB, Locked On MLB. When you register, they're going to give you $5. Go to the App Store, Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app, start earning cash back. Use the promo code Locked On MLB, Ibotta, IBOTTA, in Google Play, the App Store. Use the promo code Locked On MLB. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Thank you all, everydayers, for listening to us on the various apps where you download your podcast, Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all those major downloads. Hit us up on YouTube page. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. And, of course, please hit me up on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, Freimund. Speaking of Twitter, I did put that on after Shohei went Yahtzee on the Brewers and got a lot of views on this. I hate large market baseball. Teams trying to buy their way to a pennant. The sport does not get it. And I hashtag Brewers and Dodgers. Weather and Sports Enthusiast says, this is one of my many reasons why the Brewers won't get by the first round when it comes around in October. Damian says, being allowed to defer payments on the top of it is truly amazing that the Brewers can be competitive with the payrolls we have. Talking about Shohei's payroll being deferred. Now, the Brewers did defer Ryan Braun. They're still paying Ryan Braun, by the way. They did defer that. I believe they owe him $1.5 million every year, but not like Shohei's. Joshua says baseball is capitalism at its finest. No salary cap, equal revenue sharing like all the other leagues. Ted says, only going to get worse. Gambling could possibly change it, being a complete unknown future landscape there, but I wouldn't count on it. Yeah, I wouldn't count on it either. Robert says, I agree with you. The fact that the Brewer organization went with the cheapest route possible this season is disgusting. Offensively, we're good, and starting pitching was a monster hole. We did nothing this past offseason. Miracles have happened, and we're contenders. Well, I would say, last week the offense was great. This last 3 games, the offense has not been good for the Brewers. They got a 2-run home run from Will Contreras when they were down 4-0. They put guys on base, and they left guys on base once again. But I had no problem with the lineup. Terang leading off, left-hand. I was surprised at it, actually. Murphy with the left-hander and future Hall of Famer on the hill, Clayton Kershaw. Normally you would see an all right-handed lineup, but he put Terang in the leadoff spot and Mitchell batting third. I don't have any problem with that. I said, man, what are you going to do? I'm saying this for a while. What do you do? Take Terang out every time a left-hander is on the mound? Mitchell, no, you got to play these guys against lefties. I didn't have any problem with that. Didn't have any problem with it all on that. I did have a problem, though. Hoskins slipping all the way to the 7th hole. He had some pretty good numbers coming in against Clayton Kershaw. He's 4 of 9 with a homer coming in. He did go 0 for 3 with 2 Ks. Sanchez got slid down to the 6th spot. He was batting it, which this I thought was odd. Sanchez got slid down to the 6th spot in the lineup when against everybody he's been batting 3rd. Left-hander on the mound. He should be batting 3rd in that lineup, shouldn't he? They slid him down to 6th. I didn't check out, however, Gary's numbers against Kershaw lifetime. Did not check that out. But I didn't have any problem. These young guys, you're winning and you're developing players. You can't sit Mitchell if he's going to be one of your primetime players. You can't sit Terang every time a left-hander is in the lineup. Frelick, you can't sit him every time a left-hander is on the mound. Can't do it. Got to play those guys. I don't care. Get used to hitting left-handers. It's Clayton Kershaw, but still, I don't no problem with it. Somebody might say, wow, Clayton Kershaw, what are you doing? No, play him. Major League Baseball, you're up here for a reason. Play the left-hander. I have no problem. Your primetime players like Terang, Mitchell, play them. Frelick, play them. Play the left-handers. Although Murphy said after the game today, he thought the young players were affected by the moment. I was really, really surprised to see that. He said his young guys were affected by the moment. He said for a first time, I'm paraphrasing, for a first time this year, our guys were affected by the moment, young players. Facing a man like Kershaw, trying to gain that 2nd or top seed in the National League, he thought the moment got too big for these guys. He knows. Murphy knows. I watching the game, that thought never even crossed my mind. Oftentimes we use that. Boy, well, the moment got too big for these guys. We throw that term around so much. Murphy using it today. You never see a coach or manager use it. He came out today after the game, said, young players affected by the moment. But if you're going to grow with young players, this is part of their learning experience. That's me saying. I have no problem with that. I do have a problem that he says, well, I don't have a problem with him saying that. The fact that they were affected by the moment, little scary come October when we're going to count on some of these guys. But Murphy, who's got the pulse of these guys, little surprised he said it, but I have to admire him for saying that. No problem. He's getting a message across to his team. He's been great all year, never more than a 3-game skid. Manager of the year in Major League Baseball. No problem with him saying young players were affected by the moment. Just curious to hear him say that. Yeah, I don't care about the Cardinals and holding off the Cardinals. Well, I do care, and the Brewers are going to do that. But And I know some of you don't think that the Brewers are going to get this number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. The Brewers are right there with these guys. And I know the Dodgers have a better team. I'm worried the Dodgers are going to go on a major roll right now because they're getting guys healthy back. That'd be my concern. That the Dodgers are going to start to boat race by people and maybe even get that number 1 seed. Phillies are a good team too, but the Dodgers from the very beginning, when the season started, some of them had them winning 108 games this year. They've gone through injuries. They're getting guys like Mookie Betts. Of course, Mookie Betts is going to come back and play against the Brewers. Injured for 2 months. Oh, let's get a target date for Betts to come back. How about in Milwaukee? Let's start him against Milwaukee. That's great. But he hasn't been playing for 2 months, but let's start him against the Brewers. And he comes back and he homers and he has an RBI single, drives in 3 runs. All right, when we come back, we'll talk about some roster moves. Chuck Freeman here, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. FanDuel is America's number 1 sports book in America. They're hooking up all customers with a booster bonus daily. That's right, there's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Head on over to FanDuel.com. Start making the most of your summer. I mentioned about the NFL too. College football coming up here in a couple of weeks as well. 2 weeks from this Saturday, I want to say. FanDuel is the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. They got all the sports. But go there, check out the odds, go to their website. And like I said, all customers, every day, a boost or a bonus daily. Something for everyone. And it's an easy-to-use website. Bang, boom, and your play is in. It's easy to use. Head on over, start making the most of your summer. Again, FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse, again, we have a lot of guys out there in the skilled trades, get up early in the morning, listen to this podcast on the way to work. SupplyHouse.com, reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, electrical products online, easy-to-use website, packed with helpful resources, the latest product information to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory, 200,000 parts, over 400 of the top brands. You get your order delivered right to your door, fast shipping, coast to coast. Need help? Their customer service is second to none. Pros in the skilled trades get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free TradeMaster program. Every TradeMaster gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, discounts in every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership. SupplyHouse.com/T-M. Order plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies from anywhere. A few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers. Down the stretch we come here on Locked On Brewers. Blake Perkins to the injured list with a calf injury. Brewers had some decisions to make. They call up Tyler Black. That was a curious move, calling up Tyler Black. Left-handed hitter. We'll see against some of these righties if Black is indeed in the lineup. But they activated, or they put him on the roster. And Perkins, IL with a calf injury. Hudson was also activated. DL Hall, I was surprised that he was optioned out of AAA, especially since Murphy said after the game on Sunday that DL Hall was up. It's not like he was talking about DL Hall being on the roster here permanently, but they must have had second thoughts. It's not an indictment against DL Hall. He pitched really good. He had not pitched since April, striking out 9. They're probably going to give him a start or two. One of those things. Teams will do that if they find a hole in their rotation. They'll send the guy down to AAA to get some work in, and maybe that's what they're going to do with DL Hall as he continues to work. They have big plans for him. Big plans for him. You know, they want him to be a starter, but I feel like right now he's not going to be part of he is not going to be part of the rotation. He started Sunday, but he's not going to be part of the rotation. But he's probably going to be making some starts down at Nashville. That's my guess anyway. Hudson activated, and he was let's see here, and Black activated as well. Perkins goes to the injured list. DL Hall option to AAA, but I have a feeling we'll see him back here pretty soon. The pitching matchups for Tuesday: Gavin Stone against Colin Ray. Colin Ray has been pitching great. You look at each and every one starts. He has not been shelled really this year. I mean, can you think back just, the memory test here? Is there a game this year where you say, oh, Colin Ray just doesn't have it? Even if he struggles early, there's been a game or two where he has struggled early, and just picked it up and stuck around for 5 or 6 innings. He needs to give a good one Tuesday. Hey, there's 3 more games left in the series. 3 more games left in this series with the Dodgers. And the Brewers now 2 games behind in the loss column. That's what I look at. 2 games behind in the loss column to the Dodgers as the Brewers try to get out of that 3 seed. I know some of you guys think it's improbable. It's impossible, whatever. It's not. Yeah, the Dodgers, money-wise, again, that first 4 or 5 in the order, stack them against the Brewers, and no disrespect to Milwaukee, but the Dodgers, man, you can't compete. You can't compete. When those guys are playing as great as they are, that lineup, when you have Ohtani and Betts and Freeman, 1, 2, and 3, show me a lineup better than that. It's going to do it for Locked On Brewers. Hey, everybody, thanks for making Locked On Brewers your first listen to every day. All you everydayers, we drop this in the overnight hours, so it's fresh and ready for you each and every day, Monday through Friday. For your second listen, go to Locked On MLB. My guy Sully's got all the baseball news every day on Locked On MLB. Only one loss, guys. Game 2 of the series coming up Tuesday night. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day.